Good evening. Tonight I'm going to talk about something that's been very near and dear to my heart, and hopefully it's going to be shared with other people because it's kind of something that needs to be heard. And unfortunately, it hasn't been up to now. I think it's been hidden for almost 100 years by our government. The government belongs to the American people. Contrary to what our resident in chief has said, it's not their government. It belongs to us, and they do work for the American people, or they were supposed to. But let me start out with the statement that I made down here in the description, and I'll go from there. I'm going to be reading off another screen, so up until 1920, the government was not allowed to receive a salary for working for the work they did in our government. They got a per diem, which basically means they were paid for the time they came to our government, which started, believe it or not, in Albany, New York, before it was in Washington, D.C. And they were paid for the time that they traveled to work from wherever they lived and worked as the American people did. Um, Let me expand on that before I continue. The government was supposed to be kept close to the American people so that they were kept humble, and they were close to the American people so that they would understand what we needed. And when they went to Washington, they would be able to um, express our needs to the American people. So that was the original intent. They were never meant to receive a salary, and they were legally never supposed to get a salary. So, to continue, they decided in 1920 that they were going to ask the American people to pay them a salary for going to work for the government. Now, they put it to a vote, and the American people said no, because the thing was they were going to take it from our taxes. They were going to raise our taxes to pay that government salary. So basically, the American people said, no, we like it just the way it is. You live, you work, and you live as the American people do. You don't have a free vacation, which they have now. You don't have free medical, which they have now. And they certainly weren't supposed to be paid for when they retired, which is what they get now. And it all comes out of your American taxes. So here we go. In 1924, they put it up for a vote again after the American people said no, and they voted yes because they're the government. And of course, they wanted salaries. They figured we don't want to work like the rest of the American people. We want to get money, and we want to be paid by the American people for working. So there you go. They got salaries illegally, by the way, because they never were supposed to, and they voted it for themselves. Now, and it's paid for by your taxes. For the last 98 years, they've been collecting this illegally, and they, of course, vote for raises for themselves illegally because American people never approved this. They voted for the free medical, which again, American people didn't approve, and the free vacations, which you, the American people, pay for, which of course we did not approve. And they continue to do that. Our government has become a corrupt government. And the interesting thing was, they talk about the SEC and, illegal stock trades and stuff. Believe it or not, in 1932, when the stock market crashed, or was that 1930? Guess who did not suffer from the stock market crash? I'll let you figure that one out. Anyway, it's basically what's happening is our American government has been, and I'm not going to say it's Democrats. I'm going to say it's Republicans. I'm just going to say it's our American government, from the lowest congressperson to the representatives, all the way up to the president, have all been pretty much benefiting by being paid by the American people out of our taxes. Now, when they couldn't raise our taxes anymore to pay for their salaries, they said, "Well, we've got a nice little scam going on that we can crank up. Let's hit them with Social Security and tell them that's going to pay for their future when they stop working. Once they retire, we're going to give them that money back." Now, the funny part was they said that they were never supposed to be allowed to touch that money. It was never to be used for any government programs or government salaries or payments for government. It was always meant to be in a bank account under your name, or under well, I don't know how they do Social Security exactly, but it was supposed to always be there, except for one little problem. It wasn't. They tapped into that as soon as they ran out of money from paying taxes for, having you pay taxes for their salaries. They said, "Well, we're going to take money from the Social Security to cover that," and say, "Well, it was an emergency or we needed it for something." And, of course, now they're saying they're running out of Social Security, and you may not get it once you get to the age of retirement. But you should understand that is your money, and if they don't have it, then they should take it back from those $200,000 salaries that they make. Now, if you've got a calculator handy, start multiplying $200,000 times, let's make it 540 government officials who get that salary. It's a lot more than that, but I'm just talking about the representatives and the governors, the people who actually are in Washington, D.C., that goes all the way up to the president, who get these humongous salaries. Now, multiply that per month. I'm not talking about a whole year because, well, let's see, is that a year? Oh, maybe it is a year. I'm sorry. Make that a year. So if you multiply that out, you're going to find out that they make a whole lot of money every year that you're paying for. And it's ridiculous. I don't know how much they're taking out of your paychecks. Maybe you should look at your paychecks and see how much of it goes to your government, quote unquote. That's supposed to be our government, and how much is actually going in your pocket. And if that doesn't make you angry, then I don't know what will. So here's the thing: what can we, the American people, do about our government that's been corrupt for the last, let's say, 100 years? Because I'm sure this started way before the 1920 thing. I'm sure our government has been figuring out how to pick our pockets for a long time. And whoever had the wonderful idea of voting for salaries for the government was just that was just the tip of the iceberg. I'm sure there's a lot more underneath the water that we can't see. I'm not, the interesting thing is we had a revolution because the British government tried taxing without representation in America. Basically, originally our government started out in Britain, and they were taxing us for being British citizens. They said, "Well, we're going to tax all the American people to take care of Britain," and we said no, and we basically had a big revolution. We fought for our rights, and we said we're not going to pay that. So here we are now. We're, these are supposedly Americans. They're supposed to be taking care of us. And seems like, when you're talking about government people these days, they've got how many mansions? And, every time you turn around, they're going on vacation that we're paying for. And they have free medical, which we pay for. And like I said, when they retire, it doesn't matter how long they've been in government, even. I mean, people were saying, oh, yeah, well, the person was only in for 4 years, but now they're getting retirement from being in government service. And most Americans have to work like 20 years, 25 years, and then we only get a portion of that. So, it's something to think about. I think Americans have been sitting on this for a very long time. You have to look at 1920. There wasn't the the media that we have now. I mean, basically everything was newspapers. So when something happened like that in Washington, they pretty much had the media under control. They said, well, we did this, but you're not going to tell anybody. And at that time, it was sort of like if you went against them, you could disappear a lot easier then, because there wasn't a lot of control over what was going on in Washington at the time. I don't know. I'm not saying we should have a revolution. I'm not saying this could be done, has to be done violently. I'm just saying, because I don't want to, have someone knocking on my door saying, oh, you're promoting a revolution. And I'm saying that, our governments should be working for us. And if they're not, it says in the Constitution that if your government becomes corrupt, it is up to the American people to fix that. Now, I'll let the American people decide how that needs to be addressed. Since our elections no longer seem to be in our hands, and I'm not going to argue the point about, how our elections are being fixed. And, it's the point is the people who we want in office are not being elected. And I'm going to repeat that because it's something that, they can say all they want, that, oh, our elections are honest and fair. And, the fact is that, I'm sorry, but one group of politicians now owns a lot of the companies that make our voting machines. And you can check that if you want. It's out there, it's public record. The fact that they did what they did in 1920 and 1904 is public record. The fact that it seems like one party always is, it just bothers me the way things are working right now in America. And it should bother every American, because this is your country. This is your land. This is your money. You work hard for your money, and it's being stolen out of your pocket. There's no other way to say that. If you look at your paycheck and see how much money is coming out of your paycheck to pay for, the quote state, county, every time you turn around, you're being taxed. You're taxed for your gas, you're taxed for your food. Believe it or not, they were never supposed to tax food. And all of a sudden now they're taxing food. And I love this part. The money they took for your taxes for Social Security, that's supposed to be your money, they're now taxing that too. Oh, and you can thank our President Biden for that, because he did that. What was it, 1948? He actually ran a thing through Congress that actually allowed them to tax the money they already took from your taxes. So, it's up to you. I don't know. I'm sitting here waiting to see how this is all going to play out. The fact that President Biden has said that he doesn't work for the American people um, is totally wrong. All of our government works for us. We supposedly put them in government, and I'm saying supposedly because, like I said, I don't think our votes count anymore. I think our government has taken our rights away from us, and they can say all they want that, oh no, no, I'm sorry, but making me believe that Biden got 9 million votes over President Trump, who had 8.5, where President Trump was filling stadiums and President and President Biden couldn't fill up a high school gymnasium. He could hold rallies in the bathroom of the high school gymnasium. That's how big his rallies were. I'm sorry, but I can't buy that. I'm surprised Americans can buy that. So there you go. This is my feelings. If you can want to share this, I'm hoping that people will share this. I really think that the people need to know that we have been being lied to, we've been stolen from, and basically our government has been corrupt for about 100 years now. It's up to you. I mean, this is still your country. This is still our America. And in the end, it's up to us whether we want to keep it or if we want to lose it. And right at the moment, we are losing it. Okay, there you go. It's up to you, share it or not. I can't force anybody to do anything. I'm just here as a person who's concerned for my children, my grandchildren, and hopefully my great grandchildren. The way things are going, I'm not sure how it's all going to turn out. That's what really bothers me at the moment. I'm really concerned that what the future is going to be. For all future generations. I'm not here much longer. I'm getting older, and it's my time is almost up. And if the government decides that I'm trying to foment a revolution on America, who knows? I may disappear before that, and we never know. It's what they did in Hitler's Germany, and I'm not saying we're becoming Hitler's Germany, but the way things are going, I see too many similarities to sleep well at night. So, okay, I'm going to end this video. I don't know if anybody will watch it. I have a lot of subscribers, but I think they keep hoping I'm going to post more music videos, but I don't know. I tried some comedy and that didn't work out too well. So this is my first political video and it may be my last. So keep the faith, people. America still has possibilities. We're not done yet. It's just a matter of where we want to go now with the whole situation. Thank you so much for listening, and that's it. I'm out of here. If I can figure out it. Oh, there we go.